Tools like ChatGPT, Claude, they are exploding right now. And I've taken way too long to make a series like this where I show you exactly how to use automations within Claude. Throughout this course, throughout this series of videos, I'm going to take you from digital marketer to marketing engineer. You're going to be able to take simple processes and turn them into automations. This video, we're going to focus on some of the basics, so I encourage you to follow along. Let's get started with right away with what is Claude, how does it work, what's a connector, what's a skill, and then in the second video, in the third video, in the fourth video, we're going to continue to refine our skill sets so that by the end of this, you're in the top 1% of people that know how to utilize Claude to automate your work. Let's get started. Okay, so we're going to start with the basics. There's a chat function that allows you to prompt it. There's the plus button that allows you to do a bunch of different things. We're going to talk about skills, connectors, and things like that in future videos. There is the customize section, which allows you to take a look at skills and MCPs. And then towards the bottom here, you can go to your settings and you can configure a bunch of things in your settings. Most importantly, what we're going to be talking about is usage, because Claude has very different types of usage models than OpenAI or ChatGPTs or Geminis. So it's really important that you understand how this works so that you don't ruin your workflow or spend too much money. But one of the key things that we're going to be covering in this video is the MCP. So the Model Context Protocol basically is an open standard introduced by Anthropic. So Claude actually made this, which is essentially a USB port for AI applications. So think about, instead of you looking at a visual dashboard, for example, instead of me looking at this Google Ads visual dashboard, I can just chat with that data directly inside of Claude. So I'm going to show you how to actually do that, connect your MCPs, and then start chatting with it and start making this extremely actionable within video 2 or 3. So now let's go in through some of the settings so that you can optimize it. For me, I just like it to call me by my name, and then you can write instructions for Claude. This is something that will keep in mind across all of your conversations. For me, I don't like when it auto explains. I like to keep it objective, and a lot of the things that I do inside of Claude, and you'll be doing too, is going to be client facing. So it's good to let it know that information just right up front. From there, I can move over to account. Now for our account, we have an organization account. As you can see right here, our agency has an organization account. So we have to invite every new member, and that's going to allow us to share our settings and share our skills and share our MCP connectors with everybody within the organization. So if somebody wants to get added to the organization, if you are an agency, you're going to have to pay $20 a month per user. Then on the right side, you see left side, you see usage. This is really important because what happens is Claude does usage by sessions. So in the current session I have right now, I have 100% usage available, and I did that as I was going to start this course because we're going to be prompting a lot throughout this. And then you can see there are different models where you can have usage as well, such as design, all models, etc. As we get closer into the end of the course, we're going to talk about the routine runs. This is a feature that's going to save you a lot of time, and that's going to allow you to take your skills, take your workflows, and send them on a routine basis. For example, if you want to have it respond to all of your emails in the morning in draft, you can do that. If you want it to send specific clients an email with a PDF attached, you can do that. If you want it to write a blog post, put it to a Google Doc and send it to you as a draft, you can do that. Those are the things you can do with routine runs. So we're going to be talking about that. Inside of capabilities, you can see that I like to turn on search and reference chat, and I like to generate memory. Keep in mind, guys, I use Claude only for work purposes, whereas ChatGPT, I might use it more for personal purposes. So I don't actually mind that it has memory. I like to separate the two. Claude is just for work. ChatGPT is going to be more personalized. And then in connectors, we're going to connect a bunch of different apps for marketing. I'm going to walk you through the apps that I use, the apps that you should configure. And of course, a lot of these are paid tools, but a lot of them are also free. So if you have access to these tools, I highly encourage you connecting them. But a lot of the tools for the core concepts we're going to use are actually free as well. So that really takes care of it for settings. Take some time to optimize that right now, and then we'll come back to the actual chat so that we can start talking about skills, sharing skills, and MCPs. Okay, so now that we know the basics, let's go over to the Customize tab. When you get to the Customize tabs, there's going to be two different things that you can do in here. One is you can connect your app, which allows Claude to talk to an MCP server and get your data in Claude. And two is you're going to be able to create new skills. This is teaching Claude your processes, your team normals, and your expertise. Really useful to share a pre-given process to your team as a marketing engineer would do, and we're going to talk a lot about that in just a few minutes. First and foremost, let's talk about what a skill is. Basically, a skill is a reusable bundled set of instructions. So if you know how to do something really well and you turn it into a skill, you can share that skill with your team so that they don't need to be able to prompt it themselves. They could just quickly use it. When you're using Claude to use a skill, it's really simple. You just hit the backslash button and you can take a look and run a skill that's been shared with you or one that you've created. In this case, there's a few skills that are popping up. There's our branded report. If we wanted to create a branded report, if we have a meeting coming up, if we want to add business text to a Duda website, if we want to pull stats from a Duda website, if we want to check prompt visibility using our AEO tools, tools, and if we want to perform a website audit. Those are all examples of skills that call on multiple tools to accomplish one goal. Connectors are a little bit different. They are basically the integrations built on the MCP that allows Claude to directly access, read, and interact with external data sources. And basically what that means is you don't have to look at a front-end dashboard to get data anymore. You can pull it into a model like Claude and have it create your own custom reports or however you want to use that data. What we're going to do now is we're going to collect our first MCP, and then we'll write a skill later, and we'll have an entire video about how to do that the right way. Okay, so let's connect our first app in the connector section. So I'm going to go to customize, I'm going to click on connectors, and on the top here, I'm going to click plus, and I'm going to get two options. One is I can browse Claude's pre-built connectors, or two is I can add a custom connector, which is going to give you a custom MCP URL, which we'll talk about later. A lot of the tools you're going to use are probably going to be in the browse. And what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to add my Google Calendar connector. And so what this is going to allow me to do is it's going to allow me to access 8 tools. It's going to allow me to create an event, delete an event, find free time, get an event, list calendars, list events, respond to an event, update events. I find this to be most useful in find free time, and that's the prompt we're going to use for this example. So to connect it, click on the MCP you're trying to connect, click the connect button. Claude would do an authentication as well. Click on the account that you want to connect. Once that's been authenticated, in the dashboard, you're now going to be able to go ahead and see which tools, quote unquote, are available with the Google Calendar MCP. So I can see on the right side here, I can do these different things with this MCP, and I'm really held to that. There's no way to expand that unless the creator of the app expanded it themselves. There's 3 options: is I can always allow a function, I can have Claude give me approval, I can block it, or I can set up custom rules. To keep things really simple, I highly recommend keeping all allow for low risk items, and I recommend needing approval for items that might need human judgment. For example, that might be sending an email after Claude has written the copy. You may want to approve that before it does that, or adding a calendar invite, or doing anything where there's communication involved. But if I'm just getting data, fetching data into Claude, I could just always allow it. I don't want to have to tell Claude everything all the time. So I'm going to always allow the entire list here. And over here, I'm going to always block the entire list here. I don't want Claude creating events. I don't want it deleting events. I just don't want that happening. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Now that that's all set, I've connected my first MCP to Claude. So now when I go into the chat function, I can see in the connectors field, in the connectors section, Google Calendar is turned on. So if I were to prompt Claude, which we're going to do our first prompt to an MCP in just a second here, it's going to allow me to actually get data from the Google Calendar. Okay, let's review everything from module 1. What is an MCP? It's an open standard created by Anthropic that allows you to chat with AI applications. In Claude ecosystem, what is a skill? Reusable bundled sets of instructions to teach Claude specific processes. How do connectors differ from skills? Connectors are the integrations built on the MCP that make a skill possible. What keyboard command could you use to trigger a skill? It is the / button. What is the monthly cost per user? $20 per month. How does Claude primarily track a user's model consumption? It does it by specific sessions. If you go over that session, they will bill you more if you have that turned on. It's called auto refill. What is the purpose of the routine runs in Claude, which we're going to talk about in a later video? And that is to automate specific workflows. For high-risk actions like sending emails or deleting events, which MCP permission is recommended? I recommend needs approval. What are the 2 primary functions available to a user with the customized tab? It's going to be access to connecting MCPs and creating new skills. And what might a user prefer using Claude for work tasks while using ChatGPT for personal tasks? And really, you can keep them separate. Keep in mind, Claude bills a lot more than GPT does, so you may just want to use it for specific workflows. So there you have it. That's how you connect. That's how you understand skills. That's how you set up your account. So go ahead and start connecting all of the different things that you're going to be utilizing throughout this program. In our next video, we're actually going to write a real prompt. We're going to create a real skill, and we're going to call on multiple connectors at once to accomplish whatever task you have in mind. I'll see you in the next one, and thanks for watching.